A reading from Kendra Kandlestar and the Shard from Greeve, written and illustrated by Lee Edward Födi. An excerpt from Chapter 30, Into the Rumble Pit.
"Welcome to the Rumble Pit," the Periton declared bleakly. He tried to poke his large head through the gate, but he couldn't fit. "You try, Renata. Perhaps you can get a better glimpse of this grim arena." Kendra nodded and wriggled her head through the bars. With sickening awe, she gazed upon the pit. It was shaped like a deep bowl, with slopes of sheer stone. Set within these precipitous walls were other holding pens, just like the one they were in. Here and there an angry snout or yellow eye peered out. These were the other gladiators, and Kendra recognized many of them from the dungeon. They came in many shapes and sizes from every corner of the earth, and yet Kendra knew that they would all soon share the same dismal fate.
What an awful place! The way the pit is shaped, we'll all be forced to the bottom in one big crowded mess.
"Fur and feathers," the Periton remarked. "Like a nest of scarm, we'll have no choice but to confront and fight each other." The queen was clever and gruesome in her design of this terrible pit. Kendra looked back down towards the bottom of the hole and now noticed that it was littered with shattered bones, broken weapons, and rusting armor. Grisly remnants of Rumble's past. She cast her eyes away.
There has to be a way out of this wretched pit,
she thought with a desperate tug of her braids. Yet with every passing moment, Kendra felt her stomach sinking. Escape was impossible. The walls were so smooth and steep that it would be unthinkable to climb them. And anyway, the pit was capped by a dome of steel latticework, enclosing it like a birdcage. Beyond this dome, the arena widened into a gallery of seats, where thousands upon thousands of Craigs would watch the rumble in ghastly delight. Many of the beasts had already taken their place in this vast auditorium. Kendra could see them straining to see over the edge of the pit, long strands of drool dripping from their beaks. Kendra shuddered and pulled her head back alongside the Periton. They could do nothing but wait. After a time, there came a chanting from the beastly crowd, and soon the arena rang with the echo of these foreboding words. The whole stadium shook with the frenzied noise. Kendra stuck her head back out through the bars and saw a queen crake arrive. She lumbered onto a large balcony that jutted over the domed pit. This was a sort of royal pavilion, complete with an enormous throne that would allow the monstrous creature to gaze upon the spectacle from a special vantage point. The queen was wearing a long purple cape, and her neck and arms were adorned with golden and bejeweled bracelets. But the item that Kendra noticed immediately was the most plain, the shard from Greeve, which the hideous queen now wore upon her neck for all to see. Kendra felt a pang of desire in her heart.
If only I had the shard, I could get us out of here,
the Een girl thought. But she just as quickly shook her head. How could she harbor such a notion?
If it wasn't for the shard, Prince would still be able to fly.
As Queen Crake settled in her throne, Kendra wondered at the shard. It seemed silent and slumbering, even though it rested right against the giant queen's chest.
The shard doesn't seem to affect her,
Kendra told the Periton. "There's no magic calling in her blood," Prince surmised. "It has no power over her."
Lucky.
"Nay, Renata. To have such magic calling is a gift. But even the greatest gift abused may cause us torment." These words confused Kendra, but she had no time to ponder them, for at that moment the queen began to speak from her throne.
"Ucha!
The lizard-like creature cackled.
Behold the shardsy from Greeve! Arg, arg, arg! All the beasties now must kneel ye before Crakies. Soonja Crakies find other fragmenties of Cauldron-cha. Crakies restores the curse of Greeve. Crakies will to rule all the beasties. Arg, arg, arg!
The Crakes cheered.
Now, ye Crakies! Craikies celebrate with a rumba! It's the greatest rumba Craikies ever seen ya!
Again, the Crakes cheered, this time in a deafening roar. Kendra plugged her ears. For a moment, she thought the whole arena might collapse. Then the cruel crowd quieted, and Kendra heard the grating of metal on stone. Their iron gate was opening. Desperately, Kendra reached out to grab hold of the peloton, but she clutched only air. And the next thing she knew, she was rolling down the slope into the waiting throat of the rumble pit. The terror Kendra felt was as sheer as the wall she was tumbling down. Colors and shapes whipped past her in a blur. Her eyes couldn't make sense of anything, but her tiny ears heard everything perfectly. Moans, shrieks, and hollers filled the arena as she and the other prisoners spilled down the slope. They crashed to the bottom of the bowl like so many fierce ingredients in a simmering stew of limbs, necks, and tails. Kendra was separated from the peloton instantly. She bounced off the belly of some poor creature who had hit the bottom before her, then rolled head over heels until she struck what she thought was a tall and mighty tree trunk.
Wait a minute.
Kendra thought as she hastily pulled herself to her feet.
What's a tree doing in the rumble pit?
With a nervous tug of her braids, she looked up at the trunk and found it was made of flesh and hair. It was a giant leg, or more accurately said, the leg of a giant. Kendra gulped. The giant was so tall that she could barely see a square, chiseled head. But he could see her clearly. Kendra thought,
I'm no bigger than a fly to him.
And that was how he must have thought of her too, for at that instant he clenched his clumsy hand and struck down at Kendra. She jumped, rolling out of the way, just as his great fist hammered the ground in a spray of gravel and rock. Quickly, Kendra was on her feet again, rushing through the tangle of creatures. The crater erupted into wild and frenzied brawl, and whatever squeals of horror Kendra had heard while sliding into the pit had now changed into a cacophony of growls, snarls, and roars. It was just as the peloton had predicted. The shape of the rumble pit forced the creatures to fight. It was like throwing a lit match into a bed of dry straw, and Kendra was right in the middle of it.